Hey guys, how are you? It's Alina here, coming at you live from inside my kitchen. So hopefully you can't see too much behind me because it's a little bit busy, but I figured what better place to do a live about nutrition than in the kitchen. So if you're in here live, make sure you ask any of your nutrition questions right in the comments and I can answer them live. I'll try to get through as many questions as possible. But today the main topic that I wanted to talk about is why I don't do meal plans. All right, so when I get a new client, one of the first things that they want me to do is send them a meal plan. And that usually means tell me what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Just write it all out for me so I don't even have to think. I just want to know exactly what to eat. And I totally get where this mindset comes from because we are so inundated with so much information that we're just have no idea what to do. We're in paralysis by analysis. There's so much information out there. We don't know if we need to be doing keto, intermittent fasting, if we need to be avoiding carbs, eating carbs, avoiding meat, eating meat. Like, is protein good? Is protein bad? There's so much information that it's really, really overwhelming. And so we really just want somebody to be like, here you go, this, and this, eat that, and you'll be fine, right? And that's comforting to us. This is the problem, though, with these meal plans, is that when somebody just hands you a meal plan and says, eat this, they have no idea what your lifestyle is like. They have no idea what your personal preferences are and whether or not you even like to eat that food, right? So most meal plans are going to be like something like chicken and rice and broccoli, like, I don't know, cottage cheese, yogurt, protein shakes, egg whites, spinach, like really bland food. And maybe you like that kind of food, but I know I don't like that food. And I can only do that for so long, right? We can't stay on a meal plan forever. We can't have somebody telling us what to eat forever, because what happens when that meal plan is done or when you're no longer subscribing to a meal plan? What happens then? You're gonna have to learn how to eat for real, right? You're gonna have to learn how to eat for real life. And it's no longer just somebody else telling you what to do. So at that point, usually we go backwards, right? And we just fall off and completely revert back to old bad habits that got us into this situation in the first place. So I think that meal plans keep you struggling. They're like dieting 1.0. Please just tell me what to eat and I'll eat it, right? That's putting 100% of your trust and faith into another human. However, you need to trust yourself. That's the main thing here. And so many of us have lost that trust in ourselves. We have no idea how to even listen to our body and tune into when you're hungry, when we're full, when our cravings are out of control, and why are they out of control. We have no idea. So what I want to talk about today is how to kind of end this crazy like meal plan and then falling off the wagon, binge, deprive, all or nothing mindset. And I know so many of us get into this all or nothing mindset way too often. So here's the thing about all or nothing mindset is if you are in this place where you're like, I'm gonna be really, really good. I'm gonna start on Monday. I can do this. And then by the time Friday rolls around, Saturday rolls around, we kind of fall off the wagon and then we feel shitty. And so by the time Monday comes back around, we're going to go, yep, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm all good, I'm good, I can do this. And that continues to go and go and go. And this is that binge and deprive cycle. And I know that meal plans really create this loop that I really just don't like. And so the more rigid and restrictive that something is, the more likely you're going to rebound against it. Because you're feeling deprived, you're feeling restricted, and it's no fun, and your body doesn't want it, your brain will rebel. So the amount of restriction that you feel right now, you're going to have an equal and opposite rebound effect later. So that could be, if you're super motivated, you could be really, really good and on your diet for, several weeks, even to several months. Some people can do it for literally years before they have that rebound effect, but it always happens. It always happens where we go way over opposite side onto the deep end, off the wagon. You guys know all those terms that are so familiar. So the more rigid and restrictive something is, the more likely you are to rebound later. And so meal plans, they keep you struggling. And I'm actually gonna throw keto under the bus here because I have a feeling that if it's not something that you can do very, very easily, and keto is not a diet that people can do very easily, cutting out all carbohydrates, all sugar, all fruit, all like starchy vegetables, that's very hard. not many people can do that forever. So that's very restrictive. So when I see people do keto, then they go very opposite of keto and rebound and eat pizza and ice cream and have all the things that they can't have. So the more restriction always means bigger reaction, bigger binge later. And so I'm just not into that. And you know what? That's because we kind of think that I just need more willpower. If I just have more willpower, then I can do it, right? And so that's kind of what fuels this binge and deprive cycle. I just need to have more willpower. And so we kind of think of willpower as a muscle. And if we have more willpower, we strengthen the willpower, then we will be good, right? And we're just kind of like white knuckling our way through it. And you're like, yes, I can do it, this willpower. And then till our willpower fades. And you know what? I don't like to think of willpower as a muscle at all. I like to think of it as a resource. Because it is not infinite, the more willpower you use, it runs out. And then we don't have any more willpower. And then we go into that binge cycle again. So how do we keep the willpower as a resource and replenish that resource? We're not always feeling like we're struggling against it. And so that's kind of what I like to help people with, is figuring out what can we do so you don't end up at the end of the week and feeling like your willpower is completely drained and you're just about ready to dive headfirst into a bag of popcorn, because I know that can happen so often. So some things that I like to implement to help keep your willpower throughout the week is adding buffer foods. Buffer foods is something that I learned from Jade Teta at Metabolic Effect, and buffer foods are little treats or little indulgences that you have throughout the week that help keep you feeling satiated and satisfied and on track. All right, so these little foods, for me, I have chocolate. Like literally every night I have like at least one piece of chocolate, dark chocolate, I love it, sometimes with peanut butter, or maybe even a Scotch finger biscuit, because I love it. So that will help make me feel like a little bit more satisfied and less deprived, because I know the more deprived I feel and the more, I don't know, the more like I feel like I'm white knuckling through cravings, then the more likely I am to do that whole binge on the weekends. And you know, I used to do that binge thing so big. I remember back in the day, back in the US, if you are in the US now and you have Winco Foods has all the bulk bins. And I would literally, me and Corey, my husband, would literally go to Winco on a Sunday night, because it's 24-hour open, right? Grab bulk baggies of candy, literally all the different kinds of candy. Chocolate covered gummy bears was a big one. Chocolate covered gummy bears, I love Good and Plenty. Jelly Belly jelly beans, gummy worms, like all those candies. We just buy bags of them. And like cinnamon rolls, and I'd eat it all. We would go home and I'd eat it all. This is Sunday night, grant you. Like most people, this happens like Friday night, but for me it would be Sunday night. I would just be eating all this candy, and then by the time I'd go to bed, I'd just feel so sick of myself and just angry and guilty. And I'd wake up the next morning, and again I'm like, all right, here we go, willpower on board, let's do this, and go back into that crazy binge and deprive cycle. So this is my history. I have this massive sweet tooth, so that's why my buffer food is chocolate, because that is like that sweet indulgence, and that kind of gives me that like yummy thing that helps satisfy me, so I'm not feeling like I need to dive into a bag of candy every weekend. So your buffer food might be different than mine. Maybe dark chocolate doesn't interest you at all, and maybe wine is better for you, or maybe having a cheese platter or like a couple slices of cheese, like maybe that's better for you. Maybe having like a charcuterie board with like salami is like your thing. Whatever your thing is, you know that a buffer food is not perfect, and that if you overdo it, of course it's going to put you backwards, but just a little bit of that taste to make you feel better and to make you feel like you're in control. And you know what? You add these in throughout the week. You don't just wait till Friday or Saturday to eat these. You add them in on Monday or on Tuesday. Like, why not? Because the more satisfied you feel on Monday morning and on Tuesday morning, the more likely you are to stick with this for the long run. Okay, so I talked a little bit about keto, and now I want to talk about macro counting, because I know that's another really big, popular kind of dieting method is macro counting. And you know what? I actually use macro counting. I like macro counting, but it has its limitations. So I like macro counting as a tool. So when I first get a new client and they actually don't really know much about food and where their calories are coming from and how much protein they should be eating, and they actually just don't really know what's going on with food, macro counting is a really, really helpful tool. A lot of you that are listening today, and a lot of the women that I talk to actually know way more about food than they probably ever need to know, and that's where we get that paralysis by analysis. However, if I do have somebody that's brand new and they really actually don't know what it takes to be eating healthy and what it takes to be eating for performance or fat loss or whatever, that's when I find it is a really, really helpful tool. So I like it for a tool for short periods, a couple weeks, maybe into like 2 or 3 months. However, for a long-term strategy, it doesn't work, right? Because it's another tool that we use to overdo and that we have to kind of white knuckle our way through. So if you say are like tracking meticulously every day throughout the whole week, tracking in MyFitnessPal or whatever app you use, and then on the weekend you just kind of kick the app to the side and you eat whatever, that's the same exact diet to binge like episodes over and over. So it can create that. It can create a little bit of an obsession, and it can create a little bit of like just neurosis around food where you're like, I have to count every single calorie or else it doesn't, my body doesn't know when it's hungry. My body doesn't know when it's full. I need this app to tell me. So this is where we kind of come away from our body and from the tools that we innately have as humans that actually should regulate our hunger. We've walked so far away from this. So some takeaway tools that I like to use is hunger and fullness cues. This is a big one, and I've written like lots of blog posts on this and Instagram posts, so I can probably share some. But my like hunger and fullness cue that I use is a scale from 1 to 10. All right, so how this scale works is if you are on a 1, that means you just ate, right? So that means you're like full, you're satisfied, you don't feel like you need to eat anything else, you're happy. So that's a 1. A 10 is absolutely ravenous. That's like starving. That's like, I want to eat everything in the house. And I think as women, we're really, really scared to get to a 10, right? Like we are like, oh my God, if I get to a 10, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to eat, like a whole roll of Toll House cookie dough or a whole stick of butter. I don't know. Do people do that? Maybe. Anyway, so that 10 is the scary zone, right? We don't want to get to 10. So what I want you to do is start to think about your hunger in this kind of scale. So around 5 and 6 on the scale, you should start to be able to feel that there's maybe a little bit of hunger. All right, just a little bit, and not necessarily like you think you're hungry and like it's a mental thing. You actually feel the physical hunger feelings, and that happens around 5 or 6. You don't actually need to eat at 5 or 6, right? We can surf that hunger for just maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I just want you to check in with your body and be like, okay, all right, I'm at a 6 right now. What do I have at home? Am I going to be able to prepare a healthy meal? All right, I'm probably going to need to eat within the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Maybe up to an hour. So we can actually surf that feeling. We don't have to be afraid of hunger. And I know that if you've done meal plans and if you are like a person that feels like you have to follow these rules such as eating by the clock, we haven't even talked about intermittent fasting, but we can. But if you feel like you need to eat by a clock at certain times, that can be really confusing to suddenly throw out the time frame and instead think about, well, how am I feeling? Am I actually hungry right now? So once you're at about a 7 or 8, at an 8, I would encourage you, yep, it's time to eat. You have enough in you to make a healthy meal, make a good decision. You're not ravenous yet when you're at an 8. You're hungry, but you're not ravenous. All right, we try to avoid getting to 9 and 10 because that is where we typically make bad decisions and eat too quickly and just like eat like whatever is like the first thing that you pick up, like you eat a whole like sleeve of Ritz crackers and you're like, I don't even know how I did that. That's usually if you got to a 10. Okay, so that little hunger and fullness cue I use across the board with so many of my clients, and it works really, really well. Another thing that I like to think about is certain foods you can be maybe a little bit more full. All right, so now we also have to think, okay, we have the hunger scale. We can also think of fullness as a scale, right? And so if you're looking for weight loss, you probably don't want to stuff yourself full, right? If you're feeling stuffed, then you're probably not in a calorie deficit to create weight loss. So I usually say, let's get to about 80% fullness. And 80% fullness is I'm good. I could probably eat more, but I'm not going to. I like to think of 80% fullness as, could I get up and go for a walk right now, or go do some physical activity right now? It doesn't have to be like a hard workout, but could I go and do physical activity? If you're really stuffed, you're not going to want to go for a walk. You're not going to want to go play fetch with the dog or whatever. Like, you're going to be like wanting to like sit on the couch like this. So think about that. 80% fullness, you could probably eat a little more. You probably want to eat a little more. There might be some more food on your plate and you want to finish it. But if we're looking for fat loss, that's where we're going to stop at about 80%. If we're looking for weight gain, that's a totally different story. You're probably going to want to be 100. I don't necessarily talk about weight gain to many of my female clients unless it's strength and muscle gain is their goal, which I think is a perfectly acceptable goal, and I actually love that goal. So think about these. That's my takeaway for you today is, let's ditch the meal plans and ditch the all or nothing diets that are hardcore, that you feel like you have to white knuckle your way through the week until the weekend happens, and who knows what happens on the weekend. Instead, I want you to think about these hunger and fullness cues and use that little scale of 1 to 10, right? 6 being a little tiny bit hungry, 7 being hungry, 8 is like when you eat, 10 is ravenous, okay? So I want you to use that scale for me this week and just send me a message, tell me how it went, if it was good, if it makes sense. I want to know, because I would love, love, love to help you, because it seems like nutrition is one of those things that people really, really struggle on, and I get the most questions about. So what is going to happen in my group coaching program, Next Level, is we're going to have a lot of discussions, a lot like this, on an individual basis. So this is not a one-size-fits-all diet approach. It's not a meal plan. There's going to be no food lists that are on and off limits. Instead, it's a coaching situation. So you'll have one-on-one coaching calls with me. These calls are 45 minutes to an hour, and we actually talk through situations, real life situations that you're going through and that you need help with. And we figure out solutions that work for you and your lifestyle. So that's what coaching is all about, and that's why I love coaching. And this is very, very personalized, all right? So in Next Level, every month you have your one coaching call with me, and we have 2 coaching calls with the group. It is a group coaching program. And so how do group coaching calls work? Basically, you are on video call like what we are right now, except we're using a software called Zoom, and everyone has their little time to talk. I'll ask specific questions to the group so everyone has their opportunity to talk about their wins, to talk about their struggles, so we can brainstorm and help each other out. So that group feel is so important, and it's so great to be part of something bigger. There's something with other people that are supporting you, that are picking you up, that are helping you out along the way. That group is so, so key. So along with the coaching, one-on-one coaching and group coaching, there's also very detailed strength programs. The tagline of Next Level is 12 weeks to go from gym newbie to barbell badass. So if that gives you any idea, we are going to be lifting weights, all right? So the most important exercise for physique transformation is getting stronger and lifting weights. Yes, we can do cardio. Yes, we can lift light weights for 1,000,000 reps, but that is not the most effective. The most effective way to change your physique is to actually increase your muscle mass and to add that metabolic tissue to your body. So you actually burn more calories when you rest, and it'll actually make you look leaner, more shapely, have more lean lines, muscle definition, curvier, bigger glutes. I mean, that's always a plus. So strength training is the game. We'll also be doing conditioning and Metcon. So if you were part of Fast and Furious Challenge, very similar to that, those are add-ons that are extra. So you have minimum 3 workouts per week, and then you can add on 1 or 2 conditioning workout as extra or as finishers to tack on to the end of your workout. So it's very flexible, this training program. I only ask that you have 3 strength sessions per week, and these strength sessions, depending on how fast you are, slow you are, I'm so slow in the gym, but they should take you about 45 minutes up to an hour if you're slow and you like to take a lot of rest between your sets. All right, so that's all about Next Level. We start September 2nd, so that's right around the corner. So I'm taking enrollment right now. I'm doing opening onboarding for new clients as far as coaching calls and getting all the paperwork all ready. So if you are interested in joining us in Next Level, we kick off really, really soon, and I am looking for new applicants. So if you are interested, please message me. You can either message me directly or you can click on the link. I'll put it in the comments below, but click on the link for Next Level. You can read all about it. There's FAQs, etc. And basically we're just gonna get strong AF and we're gonna get lean, athletic. We want to be confident, okay? So this is not like a 12-week fat loss program. If you were in my email box, I already talked about that. So I'm not gonna talk about that again. I just want you to know that this program is going to be life-changing and it's gonna be very customized with coaching and feedback. So it's definitely very transformational, and that's what I want for you. Okay, that's all from me. I know I can talk about this stuff forever. Let me just check to see if there's any comments. All right. Nope, no questions. If you have any questions, make sure you write them in the comments and I can come back and answer them later. So if you are watching this replay later, that's awesome. Just go ahead and send me your questions and I can help you out. All right, that's all from me. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.